From the very first moment I tapped into this energy, something hit me so hard I literally had to stop and go, whoa, hold up. Spirit kept repeating the same message over and over like a broken record. Someone out there is walking around with your words, your presence, your energy echoing in their chest like a truth they just can't dodge anymore. Whatever you said or whatever you did didn't just land. It busted open a part of them they've been hiding from the entire world. Spirit keeps showing me this scene, almost like a movie. This person standing still, real still, like someone who just realized their whole reality flipped upside down. It's like life grabbed them by the shoulders and said, "Hey, buddy, this is the moment you finally stop running from yourself." And while they're trying to catch their breath, the people around them are whispering, low-key asking what went down, because the shift is obvious. It's dramatic. It's the kind of change you feel before you understand. They don't even have to say anything. The transformation is written all over their energy. Spirit is telling me that this reading starts right at that breaking point. The moment their denial snapped, the moment your influence became impossible to hide, the moment their old self started crumbling under the weight of truth. And here's what's wild. You didn't try to change them. You weren't pushing, convincing, begging, or playing emotional tug of war. Simply by being real, being grounded, being you, you became the catalyst that shook their whole inner world. When I look deeper, Spirit shows me this person replaying a very specific moment with you. Something you said, simple, honest, raw, hit them harder than you think. They've been analyzing it nonstop, picking it apart, digging into every layer. It's like your words were a key that unlocked something they kept locked up tight for years. I see them sitting alone somewhere, maybe in the car, maybe in their room, maybe in the dark of their own mind. And there's this heavy stillness around them, not sad, not depressing, just brutally honest, like someone finally seeing their own reflection without filters, excuses, or masks. They didn't expect you to have this effect on them. They thought they were in control. They thought emotions were something they could manage like a to-do list. But one encounter with you twisted everything they thought they understood about themselves. And here's the kicker. Whatever you said wasn't loud, wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a speech. It wasn't a lecture. It was soft, but powerful, easy, but accurate, calm, but cutting in the most necessary way. It went straight through their emotional armor, like Spirit itself guided your words. Now they feel exposed, not in a humiliating way, but in a finally seen kind of way. And that terrifies them because nobody sees them. Not really. Not without the mask. Not without the performance. But you did. And that shifted everything. You didn't chase them. You didn't beg. You didn't fold just to keep the peace. Your silence, your boundaries, your emotional maturity shook them more than any argument could. And here's where things start heating up. Spirit is pulling me deeper. And what I'm seeing next is the moment they realized they couldn't run from the truth anymore. Their mind, their emotions, even the people around them started reacting to your energy. And that's where things get intense. The moment Spirit pulled me deeper into this person's emotional space, the energy shifted like walking into a room where someone had just told the truth for the first time in years. It's intense. It's raw. It's like watching somebody try to walk through their own memories while tripping over every feeling they've been avoiding. Spirit shows me that ever since that moment with you, they've been living in two versions of themselves. The public self, the one they show to family, friends, coworkers, the one who pretends everything is chill, And then there's the quiet self, the real one, the one that wakes up at night replaying your words like a song stuck on loop. And that second version? Oh, they can't outrun it anymore. Your words didn't hurt them. Your words revealed them. You said something that cut through the performances, the excuses, the emotional fog they've lived in for way too long. Something you said forced them to look inward. And let me tell you, this person has not done that in years. They've been dodging their own truth like it's traffic. Spirit keeps showing me how your presence didn't just touch them. It triggered accountability, the type of accountability they've never given themselves before. They underestimated you big time. They thought they could keep things predictable. They thought they could manage the connection the way they've managed every other relationship, with half-truths, distance, avoidance, disappearing, reappearing, the usual playbook. But none of that works on you. The silent treatment didn't work. Creating distance didn't work. Pretending they don't care? Yeah, big fail. Instead of killing the connection, all it did was turn up the volume inside their own mind. Spirit shows me this image of them trying to pick up the pieces of themselves like someone gathering broken glass with bare hands. Not chaotic, not dramatic, just quietly painful, real, honest, like someone who suddenly realizes they've been living life in survival mode and didn't even notice. And here's where things get deeper. Spirit shows me their emotional roots, the stuff that shaped them long before you ever came along. Childhood, family environments, expectations, unspoken rules. They grew up in a space where vulnerability wasn't safe, where honesty created conflict, where speaking their truth meant someone would question their loyalty, their decisions, or their worth. So now here you come, a person they can't lie to, a person they can't hide from, a person who sees them without even trying. Your presence brought light to the corners of their soul they were terrified to look at. And Spirit keeps showing me someone in their environment who's noticing the shift and doesn't like it. Someone who has always had influence over them. Someone who benefits from them being confused, dependent, or emotionally tangled. This person is starting to panic because your influence is breaking the old patterns they relied on. Your energy is pulling them out of a lane they were trained to stay inside. Now they're torn between who they were raised to be and who they're becoming. Their loyalty is being challenged. Their identity is being questioned. Their relationships are being reevaluated. Their choices are no longer automatic. They're waking up, and once someone wakes up, they can't go back to sleep. You didn't force anything. You didn't manipulate anything. You simply lived in your truth. And that truth cracked their entire emotional foundation. And now Spirit is saying this loud. They're beginning to see how much of their life was chosen for them, not by them. And that realization? Oh, it hits different. Spirit is about to show me the real breaking point. The moment their entire emotional identity begins to collapse and rebuild. What comes next is the rawest, most unfiltered version of their awakening, and how you became the one thing they can't let go of. As Spirit pulls me into the final layer of this connection, the energy shifts again. This time it feels like standing in the middle of a storm that's just starting to calm down. The lightning is fading, the thunder is quieter, and everything around this person feels strangely still. Like life hit the pause button so they could finally face what's been inside them all along. This is the breaking point Spirit kept hinting at. This person finally reached the moment where running isn't an option anymore. The emotional walls they built cracked. The excuses falling apart. The denial gone. And what's left is the raw, Unfiltered truth they've been trying to avoid their whole life. Spirit shows me this moment where they're sitting alone, that heavy, emotional stillness around them again. But this time something's different. They're not just replaying what you said. They're replaying who they became when they were with you. And it scares them in the best possible way. Because for the first time in a long time, they like that version of themselves. You made them feel seen without being judged. You made them feel wanted without being used. You made them feel understood without having to perform or pretend. And that's the part that broke them open. Spirit is showing me that your presence awakened something inside them they didn't realize they were starving for. Connection that felt real, not surface level, not transactional, not built on convenience, but real, grounded, soul level connection. You didn't flatter them. You didn't chase them. You didn't manipulate them. You just showed up with authenticity, and their soul responded before their mind could catch up. That's the part they're struggling with. Their mind is trained to avoid risk. Their emotions are trained to avoid vulnerability. Their environment is trained to silence their truth. But their soul chooses you every time. Spirit keeps showing me flashbacks, moments they dismissed, ignored, or pretended didn't matter. But now those moments hit them like déjà vu. They're realizing they weren't uninterested. They were overwhelmed. You triggered their growth, not their fear. And when someone's spirit gets triggered like that, everything in their life goes under review. That's exactly what's happening right now. They're looking at their relationships. Do these people even support who they're becoming? Their habits, are they numbing or healing? Their choices, are they living or simply surviving? Their future, does it look like the past? Or does it look like the truth they finally admitted? And in every single timeline Spirit shows me, your energy is present, not because they're obsessed or dependent, but because you represent the version of themselves they actually want to grow into. You're the proof that healthy connection exists. You're the reminder that love doesn't have to hurt. You're the energy that made them realize settling isn't an option anymore. And here's the part Spirit wants you to hear clearly. They're choosing change. Slowly? Yes. Imperfectly? Yes. But choosing it anyway. Because losing you or losing the version of themselves they became around you feels far worse than facing the truth they've been avoiding. This is the start of their awakening, and whether you realize it or not, you were the spark. Spirit says this story isn't finished. What's unfolding next is a shift so powerful it will rewrite the fate of this connection. Their next move, their next confession, their next transformation. It's coming faster than you think. And when it arrives, it's going to change everything. From the moment I tapped into this person's energy, it felt like their whole emotional world flipped upside down. Spirit keeps showing me this deep internal shift, like they're slowly waking up from a life they've been sleepwalking through. And honestly, it hits heavy, because this isn't just change. This is an unraveling. This person has spent years pretending everything was fine, smiling when they were breaking inside, showing up for people who never once asked what they needed. They've been running on autopilot, doing what's expected, living a life that was basically scripted for them. No questions, no boundaries, no emotional space. But then you showed up, out of nowhere, and triggered something they didn't even know they were capable of feeling. Spirit keeps showing me that moment. The moment your presence cracked something open in them so fast and so clean that they couldn't put the mask back on. You didn't try to impress them. You didn't perform. You didn't need validation. You just existed with this straight up truth and emotional clarity that hit them like a reality check they didn't see coming. And boom, everything started shifting. They're thinking about the way you spoke, the things you said, the energy you carried. They replay it constantly, at work, in conversations, during moments that usually would have been numb. And every time they replay it, the truth gets louder. Spirit shows me that they've never felt clarity this sharp before. Usually, their feelings stay behind some kind of emotional wall. But with you, there was no wall. You cut right through all the layers they've been hiding behind since childhood. And now, the honesty they've avoided for years is staring back at them. Their world suddenly feels small, fake, heavy. Conversations feel pointless. Interactions feel forced. Obligations that once dictated every choice now feel like chains. And someone around them, someone who benefited from their silence, is noticing the shift and does not like it. This person is pushing back out of habit. Don't change. Stick to what we know. Remember your place. But something in them is resisting without even trying. Spirit shows me they're not snapping into old behaviors anymore. They're not going numb as quickly. They're not shrinking themselves to avoid conflict. They're waking up. And here's the wild part. Your presence didn't change them. It simply reminded them of who they were underneath all the pressure and conditioning. You didn't give them strength. They already had it. You just reflected it back to them. Now they're questioning everything. The beliefs they were raised on, the roles they were forced into, the emotional responsibility that never once came with appreciation. Your energy exposed how deeply they've been abandoning themselves just to make other people comfortable. Spirit shows me the moment they realized it too. The moment they recognized they've been carrying the emotional weight of everyone around them, while staying empty themselves. You didn't trigger shame. You triggered recognition. Their truth didn't scare them. It shook them awake. Spirit is now pulling me into the next layer of their awakening. And trust me, the part coming next is even heavier. It reveals the regret they're hiding, the pressure they're facing, and the moment they realize they pushed away something meaningful. Spirit is pulling me deeper into this person's emotional space. And wow, this layer hits way harder. What I'm seeing now is the version of them nobody ever gets to see. The version that sits awake at night staring at the ceiling, replaying moments they don't talk about. The version that feels everything but says nothing. This person has been conditioned to deal with their emotions alone. They were taught that vulnerability is weakness, that asking for help makes you a burden, that their feelings should be handled privately and quietly. So they've spent their whole life stuffing everything down, pretending they're fine even when their heart is screaming for relief. But here's the thing. They're not numb anymore. Not since your presence hit them like a spark in a room full of emotional gasoline. And now everything burns with clarity. Every truth they ignored, every feeling they avoided, every part of themselves they abandoned so they wouldn't upset anyone else. Spirit keeps showing me them scrolling on their phone late at night, getting stuck in this loop of thinking about everything they didn't allow themselves to feel with you. The words they held back, the emotions they shut down, the way they pulled away the second things got real. What they regret isn't losing you. It's losing themselves in that moment. They're starting to realize that they didn't avoid you. They avoided their own truth. They avoided the intensity inside them because feeling deeply was unfamiliar, uncomfortable, and honestly, terrifying. And now their entire emotional world is shifting, and the people around them feel it too. Spirit shows me people from their circle getting uncomfortable. Someone who used to control their choices is suddenly nervous. Someone who relied on their compliance is now confused. Another person is throwing advice at them, trying to reel them back into the old role. But it's not working. For the first time ever, This person is questioning everything. And I mean everything. Why do I always agree? Why am I scared of honesty? Why do I shut down when emotions get real? What am I actually protecting myself from? These questions are hitting them like emotional earthquakes. And every question leads back to you, not in a romantic fantasy way, but in an alignment way. You became the mirror they couldn't escape. You exposed the gap between who they are and who they want to be. Spirit keeps showing me this ache inside them. Not anger, not sadness, just this deep, piercing recognition that they've been living small, that they've been choosing comfort over truth, that they've been avoiding the emotional growth that could have made their life feel real. And it stings bad. Someone in their environment is starting to feel threatened because this person isn't reacting the way they used to. They're not automatically saying yes. They're not bending over backward. They're not rushing to fix everything. They're observing, pausing, thinking. They're realizing manipulation even when it's disguised as love. And your influence is the reason they can finally see it. Spirit shows me moments where they feel pulled toward you, not out of desperation, but out of recognition. You represent emotional clarity. You represent growth. You represent the version of themselves they're becoming. They're waking up, and there's no going back. Spirit is guiding me into the final and most intense layer of their transformation, the breaking point, the emotional rebirth, and the reason your presence is permanently woven into their awakening. When their friends stepped back and thought about everything again, something clicked in their hearts in a way they couldn't ignore. They realized this wasn't just a random connection, not some short-term vibe, and definitely not a passing curiosity. What you two shared had a depth that most people never experience in their entire lives. They felt it, even from the outside looking in. They could sense that your energy wasn't loud, fake, or performative. It was calm, real, and steady. The kind of energy that makes even the most guarded person breathe easier. They said that whenever your person talked about you, their whole aura shifted, even if they tried to hide it. Their friends noticed this softness in their voice, like they were speaking about someone who didn't just enter their life, but someone who changed it. They noticed the way your person tried to act cool, like nothing was happening, but their eyes betrayed them every single time. There was this warmth that slipped through, this unspoken, yeah, they matter to me more than I want to admit. Their friends also noticed something else, something your person refused to say out loud. They saw that your person was actually scared, not scared of you, but scared of how deeply they were starting to feel. Your presence made them confront parts of themselves they were used to keeping locked away. It was like you shined a light into rooms inside their heart they thought no one would ever enter, and that terrified them, because suddenly they couldn't pretend. Suddenly they couldn't run. Suddenly they couldn't hide. They said you had this rare gift, the ability to see through someone without pushing them, without forcing them, without judging them. You understood emotions they couldn't even explain. You read energies like a language. You made them feel safe enough to be real. And that's something they hadn't felt in years. You weren't just attractive to them. You were healing. And healing can shake someone to their core, especially when they're not used to being understood. Their friends even joked, in that we're kidding but not really kind of way, that your person looked extra alive when you came into the picture, like something inside them woke up, like you touched a part of them that had been numb for too long. They said your person lit up, got quiet sometimes, overthought everything, and yet couldn't stop thinking about you. That's the kind of impact they said you had. You made them want to be better, not out of pressure, but out of inspiration. You made them want to show up differently, You made them realize that genuine connections aren't easy to find, and losing one would be the biggest regret of their life. Then their friend said something that hit deep. If they distance themselves or act weird, it's not because they don't care. It's because they care too damn much. But here's the twist. They're reaching a breaking point now. The longer they hold everything in, the heavier it gets. And the angels say something powerful is about to flip. Something big is about to be revealed. Something your person has been fighting, denying, avoiding, but can't anymore. Because the truth, they never stopped caring. They never stopped watching. And they never stopped feeling you in a way that scares them, but also pulls them in. When their friends looked at the whole situation, the emotions, the silence, the tension, and the way your person still watches you even from a distance, they knew something major was brewing inside them. They said your person isn't the type to make emotional moves quickly. They're the type who overthinks, rewinds every conversation, analyzes every detail, and then hesitates because they're scared of messing things up. But this time, their friends believe your person is reaching their limit. They're tired of pretending they don't feel what they feel. They're tired of acting unbothered when their heart is literally screaming. And most of all, they're tired of missing you in silence. Their friends said that lately, your person has been acting different, more distracted, more emotional, more restless. It's like their soul is irritated because it knows it's avoiding the truth. They've been catching themselves staring at your old pictures, rereading conversations, imagining what they would say if they had another chance. Even when they're around other people, their mind drifts back to you like it's on autopilot. Their friends notice the way your person keeps asking little questions about you, pretending it's casual, but everyone can see through them. It's obvious. They're checking to see if you moved on. They're checking if someone else has your attention. They're checking if the door is still open. And the friends picked up on something deeper. Your person is afraid that they waited too long. They're afraid you got tired of being patient. They're afraid you finally put yourself first. They're afraid someone else will see your worth quicker than they did. Their friends said that fear is exactly what's pushing your person to take action. They believe your person is secretly planning a move, not some small, "Hey, what's up" text, but an honest conversation, the kind where they drop the act, drop the pride, and actually say what's been stuck in their chest for months. They're rehearsing it in their head, practicing what to say, trying to figure out how to come back without looking weak. Because here's the truth their friends see clearly. Your person doesn't see you as someone replaceable. They don't see you as just a phase. They see you as the one person who truly understood them on a level they didn't even understand themselves. And that kind of connection, it doesn't disappear. It doesn't fade out. It pulls them back every single time. Their friends said they wouldn't be surprised if your person reaches out unexpectedly, like late at night when their emotions hit hardest, or early morning when they're tired of pretending. They're planning something authentic, something that comes straight from the heart. They want to clear the air, tell the truth, and stop running from what they know deep down. You were never the problem. You were the answer they weren't ready for. And the angels say when they finally step forward, it's going to shock you. Not because they came back, but because of how honest and vulnerable they're about to be. Subscribe my channel for new videos. Thank you for watching.